The last case will leave you speechless. Elena Ertl was young, full of life, and had a future ahead of her that was abruptly erased. Her story is not one of natural loss or unfortunate timing. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes danger creeps in from the shadows closest to us. She was abducted. Not lost, not missing in the casual sense. Taken. Ripped from the comfort of familiarity and thrust into a horror no child should ever face. What followed was a frantic search, an urgent wave of hope and fear colliding in every moment. But the outcome would shatter hearts and echo in silence. When she was finally found, the world around her had already gone still. Her body lay abandoned, discarded like an afterthought, with no answers, no confessions, no fingerprints of guilt pointing in any direction. The crime scene told a story, but not one clear enough to lead to justice. There were leads, whispers in the wind, people who might have seen something, heard something, suspected something. But nothing stuck. Nothing led to the one question everyone wanted answered. Why? Why Elena? Why then? Why like this? Her name became a headline. Her face, a symbol of innocence, stolen too soon. And while the media moved on, her family remained in the hollow echo of what was left behind. A bedroom untouched, a laugh remembered only in recordings, and the unbearable weight of what will never be. Justice, in this case, didn't wear a badge or bang a gavel. It stayed locked away, somewhere in the silence of those who knew more than they said, somewhere in the mind of someone who still walks free, someone who knows exactly what happened that day and has chosen to hide behind silence. But even in the absence of answers, Elena's name hasn't faded. It lingers, in forums, in files, in conversations behind closed doors. And every now and then, her story resurfaces, not to reopen wounds, but to remind us that behind every cold case is a warm soul who deserved more. The pain of Elena's loss is one thing, but the mystery, the chilling fact that someone out there holds the key and refuses to unlock it, is what keeps this case alive in the minds of many. No closure, no justice, just a haunting memory of a child whose life was cut far too short. And just when you think it can't get more unsettling, another case surfaces. The case of Brianna Maitland. Brianna Maitland was a young woman with a bright future, full of potential, working hard, and living her life. She was just 17 years old, with a part-time job at a local restaurant, trying to make ends meet. Little did her family know, this would be the last time they saw her. Brianna vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions, a growing sense of fear, and a mystery that no one could seem to solve. One night, after finishing her shift at the restaurant, Brianna left the building and drove off, heading toward her home. But that was the last time anyone saw her. Her family immediately grew worried when she didn't return. She wasn't the type of person to just disappear, and her car wasn't found until much later, tucked away in an unexpected location. Weeks passed, and the search for Brianna intensified, with law enforcement scouring the area and conducting thorough investigations. Then, several months later, Brianna's car was discovered, abandoned and backed into a building in a secluded area. But there were no signs of Brianna. The car in itself was strange. It was left in such a way that made no sense, almost as if someone was trying to hide it. No signs of a struggle, no obvious clues, no indication of where Brianna had gone. The community rallied around her family, but the investigation offered more questions than answers. For months, law enforcement pieced together what little information they had. Was there foul play involved? Was Brianna the victim of a crime? Or had something more sinister happened? Theories began to swirl, each one more bizarre and haunting than the last. Some believed that Brianna might have run into trouble with local criminals. Was she involved with someone she shouldn't have been? Could her disappearance have been linked to something much darker than anyone had imagined? Others speculated that Brianna could have been kidnapped or taken by someone she knew. There was even talk of a possible encounter with someone from her past, someone who had been following her for days. But despite all these theories, no one could pinpoint exactly what happened. Investigators spoke to potential witnesses, searched for evidence, but everything seemed to lead to dead ends. With each passing day, the mystery deepened. No suspect was ever named. No clear motive ever emerged. No one could explain why a young girl, so full of life, would simply vanish without a trace. And yet, the strange thing was, her case didn't feel like the kind of disappearance that simply faded into the background. Her family, friends, and even strangers continued to search for answers. They refused to let her story die quietly. The haunting reality of her disappearance became a mystery that felt too big to be forgotten, and it continues to trouble those who once knew her. In the years since Brianna vanished, countless tips, leads, and theories have come and gone. Her case has been featured on true crime documentaries, and podcasts have delved deep into the details of what happened to her. Still, no answers. Brianna Maitland's story remains one of the most chilling, unsettling mysteries of our time. Her family, once full of hope and love for their daughter, now lives in a state of unending uncertainty, holding on to the hope that one day the pieces will finally fall into place, and someone will have the courage to speak up, to finally uncover the truth. But for now, the questions remain. Was Brianna taken by someone she knew? Was there something darker going on? Something more intriguing lurking beneath the surface? Could it be that Brianna's disappearance was the result of something that no one could have predicted? Something that no one saw coming? The unanswered questions still echo, and as we search for the truth, we are left wondering, what really happened to Brianna Maitland? In one now infamous piece of footage, a young woman stands in an elevator, pressing buttons like she's in a rush. Then suddenly, she hides in the corner, peeking out as if someone or something is right outside. That woman was Elisa Lamb. Her behavior is strange, almost unnerving. At times, she seems playful, almost childlike. But then, without warning, she appears terrified. She steps in and out of the elevator, waves her hands in odd patterns, and glances frantically down the hallway. The elevator doors don't close. It's as if the entire building is frozen in place, watching her unravel. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Weeks later, hotel guests began complaining about water pressure. Some said the water looked dark, even tasted strange. Maintenance workers climbed to the roof, opened one of the massive tanks, and there she was, Elisa. Fully clothed, floating, no signs of trauma, no clear explanation for how she got up there, how she got inside the tank, or why she was acting so strangely in the elevator. Officially, it was ruled an accidental drowning, case closed. But people didn't accept that. First, how did she even access the roof? It was locked, alarmed. The staff claimed no one could go up without triggering a system. Yet no alarm was ever set off. Then, there's the tank itself. Heavy, sealed, taller than she was. Even if she had gotten onto the roof, how did she lift the lid, climb inside, and close it behind her? And the biggest question of all, what was happening in that elevator? Some believe she was having a mental health episode. Others say she was being followed. There are even those who suggest something paranormal was involved. Theories range from drug use to psychosis to sinister human involvement to something darker. Whatever the truth is, it never surfaced with her body. What remains is a haunting video, a silent elevator, and a rooftop tank that still holds more questions than answers. And just when you think that case is the strangest you've ever heard, you hear about another. Lauren Spear was young, bright, and full of life, a college student enjoying the freedom and excitement of campus life. But what began as a typical night out with friends quickly spiraled into something far more disturbing, something that still haunts those who knew her and puzzles investigators to this day. It started innocently enough. Drinks, laughter, movement from one gathering to another. Lauren was seen smiling, chatting, stumbling a little from what was likely too much alcohol. But it wasn't anything unusual for a college weekend. At least, it didn't seem like it at the time. She left a friend's apartment, alone. Not unusual. Maybe she just wanted to sleep in her own bed. Surveillance cameras caught her walking, unsteady, but moving with purpose. That was the last confirmed sighting. Then, nothing. She simply vanished. Her phone was never found. Her keys were gone. No screams were heard. No struggle reported. It was like the night had swallowed her whole. Investigators combed through security footage, retraced steps, questioned friends, even searched nearby lakes and wooded areas. The media buzzed with theories. Some pointed to the people she was with. Others speculated something far more random, more sinister. But no answers came. Just more silence, more frustration. What happened in those missing moments? Did someone lure her? Did she trust the wrong person? Or did something unthinkable happen right out in the open? Some believe there's someone out there who knows exactly what happened, but for some reason, they're staying quiet. Others think the truth is buried, waiting to be uncovered by a single missed clue, a slip of the tongue, a sudden confession. Lauren's story is still open, an unresolved chapter frozen in time. Her family holds on to hope. The community holds its breath, and the questions linger. Because when someone vanishes without a trace, you start to realize how easily a moment can change everything. And just when you think you've heard the most baffling disappearance, another story quietly steps into the shadows. Riva Steenkamp was vibrant, accomplished, and admired by many. A successful model and qualified law graduate, her future looked promising. But everything changed the night she was found lifeless in her home. The person at the center of it all? Her boyfriend, Oscar Pistorius, an Olympic athlete once celebrated as a symbol of triumph over adversity. What began as a love story turned into one of the most controversial and debated criminal cases in recent history. Oscar claimed he mistook Riva for an intruder hiding in the bathroom. He fired 4 shots through a closed door. Behind it, Riva. That explanation sparked outrage and disbelief. Prosecutors painted a different picture, one of jealousy, rage, and a relationship strained behind closed doors. The evidence raised serious doubts. Why didn't he check if Riva was in bed? Why fire multiple times without knowing who was behind the door? Why did neighbors report hearing shouting before the shots? During the trial, Oscar sobbed and wavered. He insisted it was a terrible mistake. Yet, so many details didn't add up. Riva had locked the bathroom door. She had her phone with her. She was fully dressed. Was she hiding? Or trying to get away? The court found him guilty of culpable homicide, a decision that many saw as far too lenient. Appeals followed, emotions ran high. But despite the courtroom battles and media frenzy, the truth remains buried in uncertainty. What really happened in those final moments? We may never know. Riva's voice was silenced that night, and what she might have said in her defense will forever remain a mystery. But her story left behind a chilling question that still echoes: how well do we ever truly know the people we trust the most? Because just when you think you've heard the worst, something even stranger unfolds. Lelia Lee Marquez was someone known for her warmth, a presence that brought comfort to those around her. But the silence that surrounded her home one morning was louder than anything her neighbors had ever heard. When someone finally checked in on her, she was gone. There was no forced entry, no broken glass, no alarm triggered. Her home was still, too still, and her lifeless body offered no clues to what had happened. Nothing in the room screamed of struggle, yet the peace that once filled that home had vanished. Detectives walked through her space with careful eyes, but nothing about it made sense. Her phone was untouched, her valuables in place, and her schedule had no red flags. No one reported hearing anything out of the ordinary. No one saw someone suspicious leaving the area. And no one, not even those closest to her, could think of a reason someone would want to harm her. Her family waited for answers, hoping each phone call from investigators would bring clarity. But as the days turned into weeks, all they got were theories, none of which ever brought them closer to the truth. Rumors began to swirl, whispers of unknown visitors, odd phone calls, or maybe someone from the past resurfacing. But none of it ever led anywhere. No fingerprints, no footage, no definitive trace of who was there that night, or why. Her story became a quiet ache in her community. A reminder that sometimes danger doesn't knock loudly. It walks in unnoticed and disappears just the same. Lilia's loved ones still search for closure. They still picture her smile, still hear her laughter echoing in memory, still wake up hoping this time, maybe this time, there's a breakthrough. But just like that, her case remains a sealed chapter with the ending ripped out, a blank page in the files of justice. And yet, her name still lingers, in the hopes that someone, somewhere, will remember something. But as Lilia's family continues to search in the dark, another family was just about to lose their light. Tamla Horsford arrived at what was supposed to be a fun, relaxed gathering, a sleepover with a group of women. Laughter, drinks, and games filled the night, the kind of environment where no one expects anything to go wrong. But by morning, Tamla was gone. She was found in the backyard, face down, motionless. The official explanation? An accidental fall from a balcony. But that's where things start to get strange. Tamla's injuries didn't align with a simple fall. Her body showed multiple blunt force injuries, inconsistent with landing from just one drop. A broken wrist, lacerations, a dislocated shoulder. And yet, her death was quickly ruled an accident, a tragic misstep after a night of drinking. Her family wasn't convinced. Neither were many who looked closer. The people at the party, those who were supposed to be her friends, offered stories that didn't quite line up. Some claimed to have gone to bed early. Others said they barely interacted with her. And yet, despite a house full of people, no one saw or heard anything. Phone records were missing, messages were deleted, security cameras didn't cover key areas. Some of the evidence was handled poorly or not collected at all. And the autopsy? It left out details the family found crucial. Tamla was the only black woman at the party. Her family believes that played a role, not just in how she was treated at the gathering, but in how the investigation was conducted. They point to the lack of urgency, the dismissive attitude, and the fast push toward an accidental explanation. No charges were filed, no arrests made. But the questions never stopped. Who was really with her when things went wrong? Why were certain people so quick to distance themselves? What really happened during the final hours of that night? Tamla's story remains suspended in a cloud of doubt. Her family is still searching for answers, still calling for a deeper investigation, still waiting for the truth to surface. Because sometimes, the surface version of events is just the beginning of what lies beneath. And just like that, another case begins. Don't forget these cases are not as mysterious as the last one. Tara Calico was the kind of person you'd describe as bright, driven, and full of life. A 19-year-old college student from Belen, New Mexico, she had big dreams, a packed schedule, and a love for cycling. That morning, like many others before it, Tara borrowed her mother's pink Huffy bike, popped in a cassette tape, and set off along her usual route. She told her mom to come looking for her if she wasn't back by noon. She never came back. The disappearance was sudden, like she had vanished into thin air. Her mom drove the route but found nothing, no sign of her daughter, just an eerie silence on a quiet highway. Later, police would find tire marks and a piece of Tara's Walkman, as if someone had tried to erase what happened, but missed a few crucial details. For months, there were no solid answers, just speculation, grief, and a growing fear that Tara had encountered something, or someone, far more sinister. Then came the photograph. 9 months after Tara's disappearance, a strange Polaroid was found in a convenience store parking lot in Florida, over 1,000 miles from where she was last seen. The photo showed a young woman, gagged and bound at the wrists and ankles, lying beside a young boy, who was also restrained. Both looked frightened. The image was chilling. But what made it even more disturbing was that the girl in the photo looked strikingly like Tara. Family and friends believed it was her. A scar on the woman's leg, a similar hairstyle, even the shape of her jawline. But there was no way to be certain. Law enforcement analyzed the photo, but even experts couldn't confirm the identity. Some agencies said it could be Tara. Others weren't so sure. The photo sparked a wave of new theories. Had Tara been kidnapped and trafficked? Was she still alive somewhere, waiting to be found? And who was the boy in the picture? It was suggested he might be Michael Henley, a young boy who had gone missing around the same time. But when his remains were found in the mountains of New Mexico years later, the theory lost momentum. Still, that photo, its raw, terrifying clarity, kept the case alive in the public eye. Tara's mother held on to hope for years, believing her daughter might one day return. But time continued to pass, and answers remained just out of reach. Suspects came and went. Tips poured in, most of them dead ends. Some claimed Tara had been taken by two local men, known to follow her during her bike rides. But without concrete evidence, the accusations never stuck. To this day, no one has been held accountable. Tara's bike was never found. The person or people behind her disappearance have never come forward. And the photograph, now an infamous piece of true crime history, remains as mysterious as the day it surfaced. It's the kind of story that doesn't let go of you. And just when you think it couldn't get stranger, there's another case, equally baffling, that keeps families and investigators awake at night. They called themselves the Zodiac, a name that would go on to haunt investigators, journalists, and everyday citizens alike. This figure didn't just carry out a string of attacks. They left a trail of cryptic clues, taunting letters, and puzzles that captivated an entire generation and still baffle the world to this day. What made the Zodiac different wasn't just the chaos they left behind. It was the game they played. Each message was a riddle, a dare, a declaration of superiority over those trying to catch them. Some letters contained coded messages, encrypted with strange symbols and odd phrasing. Others were detailed confessions, claiming responsibility for acts no one had yet connected. The Zodiac didn't just act, they wanted to be known, feared, and studied. One cipher in particular sent chills through even the most experienced codebreakers. It hinted at motives no one could fully understand, and desires that felt just out of reach. When a portion of it was finally cracked, it spoke of collecting souls and escaping consequences, as if the attacks were part of something far larger than what anyone could see on paper. The most chilling part? The remaining ciphers still haven't been solved. While the media swarmed and the public grew fearful, authorities followed every lead. There were suspects, some more promising than others. Handwriting samples were compared, voice recordings were analyzed, polygraph tests were conducted. Yet every time they seemed close to unmasking the Zodiac, the trail would twist into nothing. No fingerprints matched. No DNA profile stuck. Each clue felt like it was designed to mislead, confuse, and control. The figure was bold, sending letters directly to newspapers, threatening chaos unless they were published. In some cases, the Zodiac would even include details only the true attacker could have known, proving authenticity in the most unsettling way. Sometimes they included symbols resembling targets or astrological signs, adding layers to the identity they had carefully constructed. In one letter, the figure claimed to have dozens of victims, more than what had been officially connected to the case. This raised questions. Were there more attacks no one had realized were related? Or was this all part of the illusion, an attempt to inflate fear and extend their legacy? Even those who survived were left shaken, their lives forever altered. They described a calm, emotionless presence. Not rage, not panic. Just a quiet precision. Like someone following a script they had rehearsed 100 times. It was the absence of visible emotion that disturbed many the most. Years passed. New suspects emerged, and some were compelling: a teacher, a recluse, a known criminal. But for every fingerprint, every handwriting sample, every shred of physical evidence, none pointed to a single conclusive match. And the figure, whoever they were, simply vanished. What remains are the letters, the codes, and the fear that someone so calculated could simply disappear. No arrest, no trial, no confession, Just echoes of messages written in symbols, warnings that promised more, and puzzles that dared the world to try and solve them. But as we look into the shadow of the zodiac figure, another story rises. One equally wrapped in mystery and unanswered questions.